The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Sunrise podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
Good morning to you here at 5 a.m. Thanks for waking up with us on a Finally Friday. I'm Maddie Jansen alongside Alex Fisher. And as he mentioned, that rain has been falling. The California Highway Patrol, though, has had to deal with some weather-related spinouts because of it and a few fender benders over the overnight hours. So far, no major crashes have been reported. Drivers are encouraged, of course, to take their time getting to their destination and make sure to leave plenty of distance between you and the vehicle in front of you. Most importantly, slow down. Conditions may not allow you to safely travel at posted speeds. Both the Grapevine and the 58 are open. And more than a foot of snow has fallen in parts of central California since Wednesday night. In the Sierra, the heavy rainfall made for treacherous travel conditions. The National Weather Service is warning drivers to expect delays and avoid travel if possible if you're in one of those areas with the snow. Showers of snow are expected to last through the afternoon, slowly tapering off throughout the day.
This morning, damning new audio captures Bakersfield Congressman and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy saying he would urge President Trump to resign after the January 6th attack at the U.S. Capitol. This comes after McCarthy denied a New York Times report saying he did. We'll play the audio for you in just a moment, but first, 17's Maddie Gannon has more on that New York Times report.
Thank you, gentlemen, for yielding.
In a now infamous speech on the House floor a week after January 6th, Bakersfield Congressman Kevin McCarthy said former President Donald Trump bore some responsibility for the Capitol attack.
He should have immediately denounced the mob when he saw what was unfolding. These facts require immediate action by President Trump.
Later that same day, McCarthy told 17 News Trump's actions on January 6th and the speech he gave at a rally ahead of the Capitol attack did not warrant impeachment.
The president, if you watch his speech, he even says in there to demonstrate and uses the word peacefully. So it doesn't rise to the occasion of impeachment.
Now, new reporting from the New York Times paints a much starker picture of McCarthy's views on Trump's handling of the Capitol attack than what the House Minority Leader said publicly. According to the report, McCarthy told Republican leaders in a phone call on January 8th that Trump's actions on January 6th were, quote, atrocious and totally wrong, even inquiring about using the 25th Amendment to remove the president from office. On January 10th, the report says he told them he would tell Trump to resign. In a statement, McCarthy said, quote, the New York Times' reporting on me is totally false and wrong. It comes as no surprise that corporate media is obsessed with doing everything it can to further a liberal agenda.
Let's walk down Pennsylvania Avenue.
The report notes that McCarthy's perspective on the former president shifted in the weeks following January 6th, when McCarthy visited Trump at Trump's personal residence Mar-a-Lago, a sign the two were united again after McCarthy's brief rebuke of the former president. Just last month, the House Minority Leader did not give a clear answer when 17 News asked him if he agreed with former President Trump about pardoning those convicted for their role on January 6th. Something Trump expressed he was open to.
I've talked about January 6th that happened more than a year ago many times, but that's not what the American public is most concerned about.
Maddie Gannon, 17 News.
Although McCarthy called the reporting in the New York Times totally wrong and false, audio of a phone call between McCarthy and top GOP lawmakers proves otherwise. Last night, NBC's Rachel Maddow aired audio of the phone call where McCarthy says he would recommend President Trump resign 4 days after the January 6th Capitol attack. We reached out to McCarthy's office for a statement, but haven't heard back. The recording was shared by reporters at the New York Times who broke the story. In the audio from January 10th, the New York Times says McCarthy is speaking with Wyoming Representative Liz Cheney, who has been an outspoken critic of the former president since the Capitol attack, and is one of only two House Republicans who sits on the January 6th commission. Cheney mentions she and McCarthy spoke about using the 25th Amendment to force Trump out of office and asks McCarthy about the likelihood of Trump stepping down.
I've had some few discussions. My gut tells me no. I'm seriously thinking of having that conversation with him tonight. I haven't talked to him in a couple days. from what I know of him, I mean, you guys all know him too. Do you think he'd ever back away? But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to call him. This is what I think. No, it'll pass the House. I think there's a chance it'll pass the Senate even when he's gone. And I think there's a lot of different ramifications for that. Now, I haven't had a discussion with the Dems that if he did resign, would it not happen? Now, this is one personal fear I have. I do not want to get into any conversations about Pence party or anything like that. I mean, the only discussion I would have with him is that I think this will pass, and it would be my recommendation we should resign.
When McCarthy says he thinks it will pass the House and possibly the Senate, he's referring to the effort to impeach the former president for his role in the January 6th attacks. Again, we reached out to McCarthy's team but haven't heard back as of news time.
Our time now is 5:08, and this morning police are searching for a gunman who killed a man in East Bakersfield. The shooting happened on Sonora Street near East Truxtun Avenue around 2:30 yesterday. Police say the man who was shot died at the hospital. His name has not been released. Meantime, police say they're still trying to find the shooter. If you know anything, call police.
Your time now is 5:08. We now know the name of a man killed by Bakersfield police officers early Wednesday morning. 33-year-old Jesus Javier Aleman was shot and killed near Plans Road and South 8th Street following a brief pursuit. Aleman was a passenger in the car that officers tried to pull over just after midnight. Instead of stopping, police say the car took off and crashed into a pole at Plans Park. The driver was arrested, but police say Aleman ran off, leading police on a foot pursuit. According to BPD, Aleman pulled out a gun and fired at an officer. The officer returned fire, killing Aleman. Police say a gun was recovered at the scene.
5:33 is our time now, and trial continued yesterday for Matthew Queen, the man accused of murdering Michael Holsenbake, with Queen's ex-wife taking the witness stand. Christina Starr testified about a May 2018 incident in which she received a phone call from jail from her then-husband, Matthew Queen. She said Queen asked her to remove some items from the back of his Chevy Suburban. When she checked the back of the vehicle, Starr said she realized the items were guns. Starr said she had never seen the guns before and denied ordering firearm components or assisting Queen with manufacturing weapons. At the time, the two had been separated but living together at a house on Compass Avenue, Starr said. Living with them, Bailey Despot, Queen's girlfriend, who has not been seen since disappearing back in 2018. You can read much more about yesterday's testimony on our website, kget.com.
In your 17 Court Watch, trials now underway for a man accused of killing his daughter-in-law for allegedly dishonoring him. 67-year-old Jagjit Singh told police he either had to kill himself or Sumandeep Kaur Kunar because she was having an affair and threatened to leave the family. That's according to court filings. Kunar's body was found in August 2019 inside a home on Menachie Meadows Drive in southwest Bakersfield. Defense lawyer David Torres starting his opening statements by asking the jury to return not guilty verdicts for murder and instead find his client guilty of voluntary manslaughter, arguing Kunar provoked and disrespected Singh and disparaged his deeply held beliefs as a lifetime practitioner of the Sikh religion, causing him to act in the heat of the moment.
You'll learn and understand the meaning of certain actions taken by Jagjit Singh as to why he felt the need to intervene to keep the family together.
Singh has pleaded not guilty to first-degree murder. Trial will resume on Monday.
13 sexual assault victims have filed a $130 million lawsuit against the FBI for its bungled investigation into former USA Gymnastics doctor Larry Nassar. The plaintiffs claim the Bureau's failed investigation allowed Nassar to assault 120 more women and children. The legal action comes about a year after a DOJ report found 2 FBI agents committed errors and did not look quickly enough into the abuse allegations. Nassar was convicted in 2018 and is serving a 100-year prison sentence. Now to the coronavirus, and we could soon have more COVID vaccines available as public health officials warn of a new surge. Moderna says it will ask the federal government for permission to give its vaccine to kids 6 months to 5 years old. That filing is expected by the end of the month. And Novavax is announcing it could soon have a combination COVID flu shot. The progress comes as cases in the U.S. continue to climb. 34 states are reporting a big spike in new infections driven by the BA.2 Omicron subvariant. The CDC has asked the Justice Department to appeal a ruling striking down the nationwide mask mandate for public transportation. The agency says it is too soon to tell if BA.2 poses the same risks as Omicron, and it needs more time to sort through data.
A new analysis from the Kaiser Family Foundation finds that thousands of COVID-19 deaths could have been prevented with timely vaccination. Researchers analyzed COVID-19 deaths among adults in the months after vaccines were widely available, which was June 2021 through March 2022. Children were excluded from the analysis. They found nearly 234,000 deaths could have been prevented since June of 2021 if unvaccinated adults could have gotten their shots. Those vaccine-preventable deaths represent 60% of all COVID-19 deaths among adults since June 2021 and 24% of the nearly 1 million COVID-19 deaths since the pandemic began. As of mid-April, nearly 1 million people in the U.S. have died as a result of COVID-19.
5:37 is our time now, and we hate to be the bearer of bad news here, but the Kern County Mosquito Control District says ankle-biting mosquitoes are back. But you can take steps today to keep them away from your home. These pesky insects can multiply in water sources as small as a water bottle. They're notorious for laying eggs in potted plants.
The pot is not the problem. The water saucer is the problem, okay? Dump the water out of your saucers at least once a week. Or you have the option of filling in the margin of the potted plant or the saucer with sand.
You can also use mosquito fish to battle them at the source. It is worth noting that the Aedes aegypti does not carry or spread the West Nile virus. The type of mosquito responsible for our local cases is the Culex, which you may find breeding in larger bodies of water like swimming pools and lakes. We asked Kern's Mosquito Control District whether they had plans to use genetically modified mosquitoes. They say they currently do not have any plans. You can find more tips to battle mosquitoes on our website, kget.com.
Working in the spirit of the Golden Empire, this is 17 News at Sunrise.
The 17 News at Sunrise podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.